So I could not have scaled 2 separate businesses to over 8 figures had I not been constantly seeking the bigger room. And to kind of depict what I'm talking about at this bigger room, I'd like to start with the story of Chama, this UFC fighter that fought in the UFC 300. And he was the champion of that fight. And he was getting interviewed, and the interviewer asked him, "Do you believe that you're a 10 out of 10? He said,
7.
What?
7, tô evoluindo ainda. Tem muita coisa para aprender. Se eu falar 10, eu estacionei.
But the number one truth is that there always is a bigger room. There always is somebody out there that is better than you at something specific. And you should always be searching out that specific room and finding ways to get into it. So for me personally, a really memorable moment within my career was when we got into Y Combinator, which is this prestigious startup incubator that has a 1% chance of getting in. And Y Combinator had backed companies like Brex and DoorDash, Airbnb, Coinbase, so on and so forth. At the time, I was 25 years old on my second venture. The venture had broken $1 million of revenue. You can consider me successful. We were sitting there and we were getting a talk from the CEO of Brex, Brazilian guy. He was 27 at the time. He was the CEO of $1 billion company. I'm sitting there wow, that is absolutely mind-blowing that I'm sitting here in a room getting talked to by another young entrepreneur who had a similar story to mine and had an outcome that was 20x the size of even my outcome right now at 27. And I also recall joining SaaS Academy, which is this program for SaaS founders led by Dan Martell, who had a few different exits within the SaaS space. He has 2 programs. One of them is SaaS Academy, which is basically for SaaS founders under $3 million of revenue. Then he's got this other program called Boardroom, which is for SaaS founders basically over $3 million of revenue. We had spent about a year in SaaS Academy, devoured all of the stuff. It had massive transformation within our business, and we weren't quite at that $3 million mark, but I was itching to get into that Boardroom program, which was the founders over $3 million. And I remember even to this day, sent him a quick email, figured out how to bring value, use certain tactics that I will explain to you guys in this video. And then we ended up getting into that room, and that was absolutely monumental. It changed the trajectory of our business. I met my book CEO from there and so on and so forth. But now that being said, I always have the option to stay within the rooms that I'm at or always constantly seek those bigger rooms. I personally strive to always be building the better version of myself. So right now I'm looking for the rooms with IPO CEOs, even though only 0.1% of CEOs actually make it to IPO, or probably the statistics even lower than that. And that room is super hard to find. I'm actively, hungrily trying to find that room because I know that I won't be able to get the company that goes IPO unless I become the person who takes the company IPO. The only 2 known milestones are we're born and we die. Between that period of time, there's always constant evolution of going to the next phase and the next phase, getting to the next room, becoming the best version, and so on and so forth. And you could do that basically in perpetuity had there not been these 2 defining moments of birth and death. So one common objection that people bring up all the time, isn't it bad that you always want more? Aren't you grateful for what you already had? And they almost flip the script into wanting the bigger room to be this negative thing. It's always good to be blissfully dissatisfied, meaning you're always grateful for what you have and you're always grateful for who you've become, but you know that there's so much more that you can become, right? So there's a balance there and fine line between negative self-esteem and positive self-esteem and wanting more. So I think the first step that's very, very important for you to be able to find and get into those bigger rooms is very simple, verbatim, but actually very hard to do. And that is actually to create the desire and the buy-in on your end that you are going to get into that bigger room. And these principles of desire exist as early as the 1930s, where Napoleon Hill wrote in his book, Think and Grow Rich, that he desired his son to be able to hear. His son was born without any ears, and he desired that his son would be able to hear in the future. And every single day woke up, spoke that possibility into him. And then 20 years later, his son was able to hear. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we believe that we don't belong into that room. We believe that we're too small. Alex, pre $3 million of ARR, sometimes had these feelings of, I'm too small. I don't know what kind of value I'll bring to that room. And we believe that we don't belong into those rooms. So the first step that I think you need to solidify is, I am the person who needs to be in that room. I desire to get into the bigger room. The second step is find the person who's leading that room and find a way to bring that person value. At the end of the day, you won't get preferential treatment and you won't be able to become a part of these rooms, these masterminds, these groups, if you are not able to provide value. So in the Dan Martell exam, prior to me getting into the boardroom program, I shot a testimonial video for the main program, SaaS Academy. And that testimonial video, actually, even to this day, everybody at SaaS Academy tells me how it's like 5x their sales and how they've gotten so many SaaS founders into the program. I got really close with the director of sales at SaaS Academy, and I had him put me down as a reference. So now anytime that somebody comes through the program and wants to hear a testimonial or a reference, I'm more than happy to do that. And at the end of the day, that brought value to their organization and to their program, and probably had something to do with the decision-making process of saying, hey, Alex, you're not quite at the revenue targets at the moment, but we'll actually allow you to get into that bigger room. And then the third thing is, nobody wants to be in a room with people that aren't taking in the value and applying it. So the third thing that you have to know about these rooms is JFDI, just focus and do it. Or, well, if you're more like me and you like profanity, it's JDI. The way I look at it is, when you're a part of a mastermind, there's a economy within that mastermind. Every single time you contribute to that mastermind, you're contributing to that economy. Anytime you connect somebody from that mastermind to somebody else within your network, you're contributing. So going all in, focusing into providing value to the room and getting value back from the room is very, very, very important. So look, the reality is you have two options within life. You can either go and find the better rooms and become the best version of yourself and always be hungry for becoming that 2.0 version, or you could be ecstatic. Well, just like the opposite of that UFC fighter, and basically say, look, I'm a 10 out of 10. There's no bigger room. Don't want to be better. Super happy with where I'm at. But I'm telling you, the massive growth and the only way you'll be able to build 8-figure companies just like I did is to always be ruthless about finding that room and getting into it. If you want to learn more on how to find a mentor or a coach that's kind of related to that room, click this next video and I'll see you on the other side.